I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here in the Hub Culture Pavilion in Davos. Very pleased to be joined by Frank Brown, COO of General Atlantic. Really interested to hear about some of the investments that you've been making, because I think they go with some of the themes that I've been hearing here in Davos about the emerging consumer around the world. Tell me what you're doing in Latin America.
Okay, well, I'm really glad to hear that the theme of the emerging consumer is broadening.
Pervasive.
So yeah, no, that's fantastic. I think a lot of really interesting things in Latin America. One is an airline booking business called Decolar, based in Argentina, but pan Latin America activity. And it's one of the things that we see. It's sort of like the price line emerges someplace else. I mentioned to you before we invested in something that is a food ordering system in Turkey. So like not off Latin America, like Just Eat in the UK or Seamless Web in the US. The other thing that we're seeing in Latin America is the emergence of the investor. And if you take Brazil, for instance, very few people had investment accounts where they would invest in mutual funds or other securities. And so we invested in a company called XP Investimentos, which not only facilitates the accounts, but also does training for individuals on investing, and it's we think it's going to be a great business. So those are a few of the trends that we're seeing, but all around the emerging middle class, and it's true in China, it's true in Eastern Europe, as I mentioned, and it's certainly true in South America. So
what in China are you doing? You mentioned a couple things.
So we invested last year in a company called Shabu Shabu. Which is
a great name.
It is a great name, and it's basically hot pot fast food in very developed in Beijing and developing now aggressively in other parts of China. And some of the stores in Beijing turn the seats; they're individual seats. Some of the stores in Beijing turn the seats 5 or 6 times a day.
Wow!
Which, when you think about the restaurant business, it's phenomenal.
And what about in India?
So we just invested in a great company and a great person called A&D. So A&D is Anita Dongre, and she's a designer, and she's developed a great brand called Global Desi clothes for Indian women, and we're very excited about that. We love to invest in great young entrepreneurs with interesting business models that we can work with to develop their management teams, develop their systems, develop their brand, and that's kind of the value add that we bring, and that's a great one for us.
Frank, thanks so much for stopping into the Hub Culture Pavilion and telling us about the down-to-earth grittiness of the emerging consumer.
We're always happy to do that. Thank you, Edie.
Thank you very much. I'm Edie Lush.